Hello again, I'm Mike Brightman. My company's Brightman Designs. Welcome to the ConDoc 5 launch live stream event. So today I'm going to introduce the new features in ConDoc 5. Most importantly, our tagging system. So ConDoc Tags, I'm telling you, this is a revolutionary quantum leap, step forward, all that. It's a game changer in workflow efficiency. The ability to just add multiple tags to one object has completely changed the way that I work in SketchUp. So today we're going to work through an accessory dwelling unit project. This project I'm working on is available on the 3D warehouse. I'll show you that link, but I'm going to use the file that has not been tagged at all. We're going to work through the whole thing together and explore all of the different features in ConDoc 5. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you can always head over to condoctools.com and you can start a free 7-day trial there. You can gain access to our ConDoc tags, the new ConDoc system, and then there's a handful of other small but very impactful improvements, and I'll make sure to go ahead and point all those out today. So I want to avoid a big intro. Let's just hop right in there and start working in SketchUp. I'm thrilled to show you these new features. Let's get to it. All right, so inside of SketchUp, this is our ADU project. So what we're gonna do first is kind of track down our different, our new tools. All right, so if you go to the View dropdown and check out Toolbars, that's where you can find the ConDoc Tools toolbar. Now this toolbar got thinned out a little bit. We did a little bit of house cleaning, got rid of our detail tool, just kind of tidied up some things in the match properties. We're going to kind of move some things around in the future, but for now we want to clean up that toolbar and also suggest that you draw your details inside of layout because they've really evolved those tools to really be much more functional than when we started with our draft mode. All right, so that's our ConDoc toolbar. If you're on a Mac, you can go to View Tool Palettes, and I believe that's where you'll find it. Also on a PC, just a little tip, you can always right-click on any tool and choose ConDoc Tools. Or any toolbar for that matter. All right, the other thing I want to locate is under the extensions drop-down, ConDoc, ConDoc System, and then ConDoc System again. This is our redesigned ConDoc System. Now, I'm telling you, this is a huge deal because it's just so much cleaner. There's only the information that you need is showing up there. So it's been redesigned. Like the original version was kind of a grouping of proof of concepts, and we whittled them down, but on this version we really rethought it all and loaded it up with only the critical information that you need. So the first thing I'm going to do over here on our ConDoc system, you can see that the active drawing set is showing. Now a drawing set is a way to reprogram ConDoc or reprogram the ConDoc tools to work in different ways. I can tell you that the Flex drawing set, we renamed it from ConDoc Lite to ConDoc Flex. So the Flex drawing set is very flexible. It allows you to automate drawings using the visible layers. So you just need to manually manage your tag visibility. All right, so we're not going to work with the ConDoc Flex drawing set though today. We're going to load a different drawing set. We're going to work with the Architect drawing set, like that. All right, so the Architect drawing set is fired up, and I'm going to try and point out all the different little things that are happening as we go. So when you load a different drawing set, now ConDoc Tools is working with prescribed tags. So we've already baked in all the different level, element, location, and condition tags. So what we need to see is we want those tags to kind of show up over here in our SketchUp Tags dialog. All I have to do is click the Reset button and watch what happens in my Tags dialog. So we'll click that, and this is going to load up all the tags associated with this drawing set, and it now puts them into a folder. So that is a new little feature, one of those little workflow things. So now you can see we have all of our level, our element, location, and condition tags, and they're all contained within this ConDoc Tools tag folder. So what we're getting at here is that the ConDoc tags are, that whole tagging system I'm going to show you is mirroring and plays right along or piggybacks on the SketchUp tagging system. All right, so when we load up our ConDoc tags, they all dump in here into our ConDoc Tools folder, tag folder. All right, so now let's just kind of start chipping away at this thing. And I think the first thing I want to do is, this is our bulk plane. And for right now, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to delete that just so that it's not kind of in our way for this demo. And let's talk about our walls. All right, let's just like assign a tag so that we can kind of see how this is working. All right, so if I select the walls here, so this is like, just a group, and it's got, one group in, and there's our edges and surfaces, right? So if I select that group, I want to assign the walls tag. Well, the old way of doing this would have been to go into your entity info and then find your, element walls. And then you'd have like groups within groups within groups. What we're going to do is open up our ConDoc Tags dialog. So that's at the bottom right corner of the ConDoc system. So now you'll notice that our ConDoc tags are mirroring all of the element, location, condition, and different ConDoc tags are mirroring what you see in your SketchUp Tags dialog. So instead of going through the entity info dialog, everything in here is technically on the SketchUp untagged tag, right? So I select my walls and I'm going to assign a ConDoc tag of walls. All right. So that's all you do to assign a ConDoc tag. You just pick it over there. And now check it out. My visibility is controlled by the familiar SketchUp Tags dialog. So you can see that these walls on the second floor are controlled by my walls SketchUp tag. Now, these walls here are actually exterior walls, and they're new. So you can see now I'm going to toggle these different tags on and off. So now exterior is going to control my tag, my wall visibility, and also the condition of new is controlling those. So check that out. We've essentially assigned multiple SketchUp tags to one object, and we maintain the ability to double click in one time and access all the edges and surfaces, so we don't have this nested shell game of groups within groups within groups, tags and tags and tags. And the freedom that this gives us to just organize this model however we want, in whatever order we want, kind of whenever we want, is another way to look at it. We are no longer limited by like this shell game that we had to have a specific order in which we got things done for it all to work right. So that is just kind of a very brief, brief demonstration of how this all works. But like, let's get to it. Let me show you how much quicker you can work through organizing a project like this using our tagging system. So let's just kind of freestyle this. All right, so here's like a context house. All right, so like this is the house up front and the ADU sits in the back. Well, this is going to be on context, and you could just control it now through context. That's fine. You could also choose that this is going to be exterior and this is technically existing. So maybe we don't want to do anything with that. All right, so now we could turn off our context tag, and then we could go and do the same thing, like our site or our earth is exterior, and we'll call it existing. So now we could turn off our earth tag. All right, so you can see that's how you start like chipping away at this thing. You start like using your tags as like a checklist for organizing your model. But let me show you a little trick on how to do this in an even more efficient way to get this done really quick. All right, so over here on the ConDoc system, you can see we've got our, we'll turn off my camera there so you can see all the tags. Over here on our ConDoc system, if we click on this all off button, watch what happens with all these tags over here. I'm going to hide that entity info and just click all off like that. All right, so essentially what that does is it turns off all of the tags associated with ConDoc. So it's everything in that ConDoc Tools folder. Now, so the ConDoc system, just to briefly explain, the ConDoc system is designed to keep you out of the tags dialog. Like, these different tag states, like, shuffling through the levels and interior and exterior. That's the idea, is keeping you out of those tags. So we'll get to that in just a moment, but to understand it, like when you click all off, it's going to get rid of all those ConDoc tags. And now I think I will turn on my 3D object like that. And I'm going to also, I'm going to turn on my walls for just a moment, and interior, exterior, and new and existing. I just want to kind of see those for a moment. All right, so technically I did already work with the walls are good, and yeah, so we're fine. I'm just going to turn these off. All right, so existing and new can go away. You know, those walls have already been tagged and taken care of. And then, you know, interior and exterior, I think we can just get rid of those right now. All right, so we'll turn off our walls. So basically what's happening here is everything's turned off. So if I assign anything to a tag, it's going to disappear. So here's a good example, is like these two fences. These are going to be barriers, exterior, new, like that. And now they disappear. So once they disappear, you know, they're kind of off that checklist, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go to our roof. All right, and so there's no like right or wrong order to this. You can go with our roof, and we can say like roof, exterior, new, like that. All right, so let's just keep working through this thing. And, you know, so you could choose like all of your walls. Like let's say I'm going to do walls, walls, exterior, new, like that. All right, and then let's go with like our top floor, our bottom floor, and our top floor. So here's interior walls, and here's interior walls. And so I'll go walls, interior, new, like that. So then they just disappear. Now these guys here, these are just like floor square footage counters, essentially, that I just kind of keep in there. Those really go on always off. Now, I will tell you this too. Something that's kind of slick about this whole system, and it's yet to be fully realized, is that you can use our ConDoc tags in tandem with the SketchUp tags. So like there's still nothing wrong with going to entity info, and like if you want to force this on to the always off tag, that's fine. And what I'm getting at is that like you can also have your own tags that live outside of ConDoc, and you can start kind of mashing these things up. And I was talking to a friend of mine, John Brock, who created Estimator, and I've been tinkering with his stuff because his whole system generates a ton of unpredictable layers. And that's fine, it works great for him. But what's super cool is that he can run all those you know, layer names that create these different, you know, layer names that are based on like lumber sizes and this and that. Well, you know, Estimator can do that, but you can still use the ConDoc tagging system to get your drawings and control visibility. So this is a hybrid system, although really the prescribed system, until I really tinker with it and find out best practices, is just stick with our tagging system. This is slick. So, all right, so let's keep rocking here. I'll go to floors, and so we're gonna go with like our floors, floors, interior, new, like that. And then I'll go to our different trim pieces. So these are all going to be trim, exterior, new. So we'll grab all these guys like that. And so that's going to be trim, exterior, new, like that. And then this is kind of a decorative object. This is something that might get tacked on later. So you could either call it trim or decorative objects, exterior, new, like that. And then I'll work with like stairs. And I'm going to turn on my 2D graphic tag. Let's see. You know, so this guy here, this is a stair. It's only a 2D graphic because on the second floor I just need the 2D graphic representation. So this is going to be stairs, interior, new, like that. And then we'll just kind of chip away. This will be our foundation, exterior, new, like that. And then here we have like our beams, exterior, new. And then we have our columns, exterior, new. Now, just keep this in mind. I mean, what it was like before to organize a model like this. And I thought it was super cool to have those model organization guides where you could like cut an object and then double click into these tiles and then paste in place and then escape, escape, escape to back out and then go grab the windows and then cut and drill into the model organization guide. these new ConDoc tags, all right, let me say this. I was thrilled about model organization guides. That was a big step forward. ConDoc tags have completely made those obsolete. So while that is a little disappointing because those tutorials are outdated essentially, and that whole method is outdated, the good news is that this system is insanely fast and so much better. So let's keep rocking here. These are going to be exterior doors. So our garage doors will be on doors exterior new. So doors exterior new, like that. And then we've got like some interior doors. You can see I'll just kind of snake around there. These are interior doors. So doors interior new. And this one is a door exterior new, like that. And we're getting close here. So here, these are all fixtures, okay? These are like kind of these built-ins, right? And then we've got like our bathroom fixtures, like that. So all this stuff up there is going to be fixtures, interior, new, like that. All right, and then I'll grab like, these are going to be lights. So here we've got like our lights, and I'll grab those. And then we've got some lights down low as well, like that. And then like this. So now we have lights, exterior, new. All right, and then we'll have like our hard surfaces, we'll call these. So this will be hard surfaces, exterior new. And then this is equipment. I forget, these are like, I think this is like a washing machine or something. So we'll call it equipment, interior new, like that. All right, let's get rid of our windows. So these will be windows. Let's see, like this. Working around, I'm just holding control to add to my selection, like that. And these are going to be windows, exterior, new. And then all that's left is going to be trim, exterior, new. Bam. And just like that, we're done. All right, well, we're close to done. So we still have some other, some more levels to discuss here. All right, so this brings me to the next point of another new feature here is that our levels or our project setup information that used to be included with the plan generator and only happened with the plan generator. So we call that project setup information, like the floor heights and how many levels and is there a basement. All that has been separated so that now all the tools can use that information. And furthermore, that information is now saved with your model. So I can tell you that if you run any of our ConDoc tools, which we're not going to do just yet, you'll get prompted for the project setup. I'll just show you the project setup here. So now you can say like, you know, this is going to be, well, let me hit reset to just go back there and kind of get all my tags on. And let me say this first, like the measurements happen from the origin, all right? So I'm just gonna like hide some of this stuff and then measure straight up on the blue. So like our second floor is basically this edge right here. So it's like 11 feet up, all right? So this project has 2 levels and level 1 is at 0, that's fine. And then the other is like 11 feet. So I'm gonna save this. And when I hit save, watch what happens in my ConDoc tags. See, now I have level information. And I can tell you that like, you know, if I just hit reset, it's super easy to just grab all of like level 2. We'll kind of try it like that. All right, so that's all level 2, except for this roof. All right, so we're gonna call that level 2. And then we're going to turn off level 2, which, you know, we can toggle that like this, level 1. And now all of this stuff right here is going to be level 1, like that. So you can see just like how much quicker it is to work with this without having to drill in and double click over and over to get to these different, you know, tiles and model organization, like the nesting, completely gone. All right. So let's just take a look now at, let's see, I'll hit reset and kind of take a break here. That's kind of our first demo. And let's check in. What's going on here? So Joanne, thank you for that heads up. I'm trying to keep an eye on that, you know, not blocking off what we're doing. And, you know, I'll kind of keep an eye on this chat panel. And perfect. Yeah, you asked the question about are there levels for first floor? So we covered that. And then we'll get to some of these others. No, the answer about my price of $2.99 being exactly the same as SketchUp, no, I am not uncomfortable about that at all. I'm actually very confident about that, that ConDoc Tools makes SketchUp that much better. So that's a fair answer to that. So what we're going to talk about now is really go through the ConDoc system and work through the different level states, the different like tag states. And this really came from a concept that I was familiar with on like 2D CAD, where you would have layer states. All right, and I know there's like this insane confusion between SketchUp tags and layers, and now we got ConDoc tags. Perhaps I should have named them ConDoc layers, but in my opinion, our tags behave the way that you would expect tags to work. Multiple tags assigned to one object. So what we have on the ConDoc system are these tag states. So we can toggle through the different toggle through the different levels, and also bounce between interior, exterior, and then 2D graphic, 3D object, and new existing demolish. So let's hop back in there and I'll show you the ConDoc system and how those different tag states work. All right, so we've set up all of our different tags, and now we're really kind of focused on our ConDoc system up here. And so, notice that like when there's no selection, you see level, element, location, and condition. So if I select a window, you can see it's like level 2, window, exterior, new. Level 1, door, exterior, new. And so like that's how we've redesigned this ConDoc system to work much better with our tags. And that's what you're seeing there. And so because this model has been categorized, it is now going to respond to all these different tag states like level 1, level 2, or all levels. Now, when that's happening, I might say like, I really want to see like all this site stuff disappear too. All right, so I might just take this stuff here and make sure that it's on level 1. And now when I go like isolate level 1 versus level 2, we're seeing that. So, and actually I think this might even just be level 1. So see, that's how quick and easy it is to change things around. All right, so now we're toggling through our different levels. And then we have like interior. So I find this to be really handy to just get to where you want to get to. So interior, exterior, or all. So interior, and then exterior hides all the interior stuff. So see how this is kind of hollow now? So that's the idea there, is like keeping this SketchUp environment super lightweight. And then we have, I'll just do all on, and then we have like existing, new, demo, but I got to tell you that these existing, new, and demo, these condition tags really are, that's more for like a renovation project. It would mean a lot more on a renovation project than it would mean on a new construction. So keep in mind, that's super handy for a more complicated renovation project. And then we have this idea of like a 3D object and a 2D graphic. So you can switch between those. And notice what's happening. I mean, all this is really doing is like the 2D graphic, 3D object. If you look at the SketchUp tags dialog, you can see the 2D graphic and 3D object, toggling back and forth. The ConDoc system is forcing or controlling the SketchUp tags, and then our ConDoc tags are responding by hiding things. So again, this is like, we're piggybacking on this SketchUp tagging system to really expand the functionality of it and not reinvent our own tagging system altogether. So, and same thing with like your levels. Notice that like you've got level 1 and 2, and you'll see that like this is just, toggling between those. So if you were to decide like, I want to like, hard line or hard assign a tag to an object, you can do that. And our ConDoc tools are still controlling that. So another point to make with that is that this is completely backwards compatible with your old ConDoc projects. So we've essentially just added like another step in the process. Like, we're still controlling those tags. So if you're using model organization guides, or you like using model organization guides, then this is all going to work just the same. And you can stick with that old way of doing things. There's nothing wrong with that, really. But I got to tell you that if you just kind of, advance on to these ConDoc tags, you're going to find that it's freeing to just not have to double click like 8 times just to get to the object that you want to move around, and then tap escape 4 more times just to get out. All right. So that's kind of how the ConDoc system works. And then there's also like these different utility styles like orient faces, axis check, scope diagram, which comes into play on a renovation, and then back to design. And then the last one is these grid shifts. And these guys, like if you watch the axes, you can see that it shifts, like to 45, 0. And another new feature of our ConDoc system are these hover states. Now, I would argue these should have been in there probably a long time ago, but it was a little tricky just to kind of, redesign some of this and get that interface in there. But now when you hover on something, it's telling you what you're going to get. So level 1, now we'll get level 2 on click. Now we'll get all levels on click. This makes it much easier to understand what you're getting when you're clicking and what you're going to get next. Now, another thing I want to show you is our configurator. And just a heads up, we moved this load drawing set and the configurator off of our ConDoc toolbar onto the ConDoc system. It seems to make a lot more sense there. So if I open up the configurator, I just want you to understand that like this entire ConDoc system is completely configurable. All right. And when I say configurable, I mean you can invent your own ConDoc system, or you can work with anyone's tags, any hybrid solution. If you're using like Nick Saunders' system, you can bake those in there and then automate those drawings. Anyone's system, any tags for any industry, you can re-engineer this whole thing to automate any drawings with any tags. So I can show you that like this is where you would add your different ConDoc, we didn't change our name, ConDoc Tags. And so that's where all of those guys sit there. So you can easily add new ConDoc Tags there. And then these are all the different drawings. So like, the different, like say a construction plan. If I look at like the settings for each one of these, this is how it all stacks up together. So I just kind of open up all these settings. And so like for this one plan, you're going to take these 4 viewports, you're going to stack them together to create one complete drawing. And so these are the different layout render settings and shadow settings. Is there a section plane? Where does it land? Line weights, styles, which tags are going to be turned on and off in each one of these viewports. So, I don't want to overwhelm you, showing you all this stuff, but what I really want you to understand, this thing is completely configurable. If you load the architect drawing set, that's essentially what's represented in my book. So right out of the gate, you just load the architect drawing set, and now you're right in sync with what's in my book. And then furthermore, we do have another kind of pro drawing set, which is interiors, which is largely based on the layers or tags that are covered in my book, but we automate different drawings that are more specific to an interior designer. So very much the same workflow and functionality, just automating industry-specific drawings. Cool. All right, let's see how we doing here. Not too much else action on the chat panel. I think I'll take a look now. We're going to jump in and talk about our ConDoc tools. So the ConDoc tools on the toolbar, it's plan, section, elevation, and perspective. The idea behind the ConDoc tools is that they automate the scenes for each one of these different drawings. So what we're going to do is go through and run each one of the ConDoc tools and create the plan, sections, elevations, and perspectives. And then we're going to use our drawings export to kick all these scenes over into layout as scale drawings. And so we'll, along the way, take a look at some of the gotchas that come up, and probably learn a few things about layout too. So let's hop in there and run those ConDoc tools. All right, so we'll go with just the clean screen here. And so, whenever you just need to get back to good, you just hit reset on that ConDoc system. And probably the first thing I'll do is just activate the plan generator, and we're going to set up like a foundation, construction, and roof plan. And so then there's all these different plans that we have access to, like a furniture plan, but we didn't really put furniture in here. It wasn't that type of a project that warranted that level of detail. But we have all these different plans available. If this was a renovation plan, we'd use like demolition and renovation construction, but we're in pretty good shape. Foundation construction, roof plan, I'll click create plans, and then just keep an eye on the scenes at the top and over here in the scenes dialog. And you'll see what's happening here is that the ConDoc tools, each one of the tools automates the scenes needed to create those drawings. So we've just cranked out several different scenes here. So here we have like foundation plan light. Okay, so that's the light viewport stacked on with the heavy viewport, and then with our hatch A and our dashed, like that. All right, so all these different scenes stacked together are going to create one drawing. Now, let me say this. Let's go look at construction plan heavy. All right, so when I zoom in on this, this is how I like to work, all right? I want all of my plans, I don't like it when it's kind of like zoom extend out here. So I'm gonna just kind of make this a little bit easier on ourselves for this demonstration. I'm gonna take all of my plan scenes like this, so foundation, construction, and roof, and I wanna update my camera for all of them. Here's a little trick. If I select my plan scenes, I can uncheck the camera location, and then I can recheck it, all right? This is kind of dangerous, all right? This is like the advanced thing that you don't want to, get in there and mess things up if you don't know exactly what you're doing. But if you uncheck it, it's no longer saving the camera position. And when you recheck it, it's now applied this camera position to all of my different plan scenes. What'd be cool is if we had a tool that did that for you. We're working on it. So, all right, so construction plan, heavy, light, dashed. Okay, so now we're on foundation plan. And then we have like roof plan dashed, roof plan heavy, and then roof plan light. And see, when you lay each one of these scenes on top of each other, it's going to create a complete drawing. Now, whenever I'm working with the ConDoc tools, I always like check my scenes, maybe update my cameras, and then I just click reset. And now we're kind of back at it, all right? So now I've got my plans. Let's do elevations next, all right? So then I'll just click the elevation tool, and then click on the front of the ADU. We're gonna go with a CAD elevation with shadows, like that. And then I just work around the structure here, and we'll go CAD elevation shadows, and then we'll get over to this side here, and I'll activate my elevation, CAD elevation shadows, and then one more like this, CAD elevation shadows. Nice, let's go take a look at those. So here's like our CAD elevation shadows. That's like the primary. And I'm gonna close my tags just for while we're working on this portion. All right, so there's like our shadows, CAD elevation primary, and then this is our shadows. Now, I'll tell you, this looks a little bit goofy right this second, all right? Like these, this kind of dot pattern overlay. Don't be thrown off by that because the scale's out of whack in SketchUp. But once it gets over into layout, and then it gets exported at high resolution, I've already worked all that out. So these are gonna be like nice refined little dot screen over our shadows. And if you don't like this look, it's super easy to get rid of as well. So I can show you how to do that. You just go to Styles, hit Edit, and then on our watermarks, you could just kind of delete this. I'll just delete it, show you. You can just kill this watermark like that and get rid of it. And now you're just using those kind of clean SketchUp styles. All right, so now we'll go primary with shadows here. Dot screen. I'll just say just don't display. That'll get rid of that. Okay. So also on my elevations, what I like to do is go through and update my cameras. All right. So for these, I'm just going to zoom in on let's go look at our scenes. So here we can zoom in, and I need to select my two CAD elevation 01 scenes, and I'll just update my camera location. And then let's look at the next one. You don't have to do this, but I just like to zoom in on them so that when I'm working in layout, they're going to show right away. And also every time I click on the scene, I don't have to zoom in on it. And then here's 03, and then we'll select both of those and update our camera location. And then we'll go to 04, zoom in, and let's update our camera location. But check this out. This is another issue, like, I love when these little gotchas happen. Like, see how this section isn't looking right? Well, the reason that we're like grabbing the fence with that section cut, whenever I activate the elevation tool and I click on the side of that house, it bounces the section plane 5 feet off. It just so happens that in Denver, we've got these 5-foot setbacks. So that means that my section cut landed right on my fence. No problem. The truth is that what ConDoc is doing is it's automating like the kind of the base functionality of SketchUp. So I can turn on my section planes, select this section cut, and then I can just move it. It's like once the ConDoc tool is run, this model is yours to just cheat it and mess with it and do whatever you want to it. So out of the box, the ConDoc tool is like stock, definitely works well, but you can get in here and you can manipulate these different scenes and change things around. Furthermore, you could even hop into the configurator and tell it to only bounce 3 feet off the wall. Maybe that's a better solution in Denver, or I don't know, maybe you'd be more likely to dodge our roof overhangs but not hit our fence. No big deal. It's good to know how to fix these things. So now our section cut for that elevation is landing there, and then our shadows are showing properly. I just click reset, and now I'm back to working in this snappy, lightweight, sketchy environment. All right, so let's add some section cuts. So I'll activate my section tool. I can tap like the left arrow key and then click to add a section. There's a lot of different options. At some point I'm gonna have to talk about these section perspectives because those are really cool. But for today, let's go with like CAD section fill, like that. And then I'll orbit around like this, add another section cut, and we're gonna go with the right arrow key and then add CAD section fill here, like that. And so at this point now we can go check out our sections. We have like, here's our foreground, and I'll do the same thing here. I'm gonna update my camera. We'll get that set up, and then we'll go to section BB and update that camera as well. So you notice that as you're rattling off these different section cuts, it's naming them, section AA, BB. Our elevations are running 1, 2, 3, and 4. Click reset, and we're back to good. All right, perfect. So far, so good. Let's see. We got some more action in that chat panel. Can you add a ConDoc tag as an example for the square footage of each floor? You could, so there, you could have a tag, like for instance, you could add a tag that would be, like square footage counter, right? You could add, let me think about that for a second. I'm gonna run through this. That's a great question actually, because I think what you're getting at is like, adding tags. So why don't we do this? I think what you're getting at there would be, if we can add a tag in the configurator. And let's look at like what happens with that when it gets into the, shows up in our ConDoc tags. Check out the behavior of that. Basically what I would do is create a tag for my square footage counters. So maybe we'll call it like, ConDoc underscore square footage. And then that way you could easily isolate that tag and then get your square footage counts. All right. So the next step though, so we'll get there. After I finish this demo, we'll take a look at adding a tag. That'll be a good advanced demo. Okay, so the next step here is going to be to run the ConDoc drawings export. We've used the tools to create all those different scenes, set the styles, turn different tags on and off, and now we're going to use our export to kick everything over into layout. And what this does, it takes all those different scenes and stacks them, groups them, throws them into a scrapbook, sets the architectural scale, adjusts the line weights based on like how big that drawing is. We've sorted all of this out for you so that if you just kick your drawings over into layout using our export tool, you're gonna just drag and drop this whole cartoon set. So let me show you how that works. All right, back over here inside of SketchUp, I can click on this last button here. This is our drawing export. Now, the drawing export, we have a new feature in here, and again, very, very subtle new features. Some of them are very subtle, right? I think the tags are a big deal, but like little things like this, right? If I want to select all these drawings, we have this new default scale. So if you just want to kick everything out at like, ½ inch or whatever you want to do, you can change that default scale. This is super handy if you have like a lot of drawings. All right, but for the time being, let's go with like a foundation plan will be 1/4 inch. Our construction plans 1 and 2 will be 1/4 inch. Our roof plan, we're going to use that as like a site plan. We're going to call that 1/8 inch. Elevations, in my opinion, should kind of mirror the scale of our plans. And then our sections can be something a little bit different. Let's call those like ½ inch like that. So we'll go ½ inch and ½ inch. Perfect. I'm going to click Send to Layout. It requires that the model be saved. I'll save that. And so what's happening now is that the drawing export is bundling up all those scenes that are running along the top of our screen, stacking them up, assigning all the different render settings for layout that we've already set up with our configurator, setting the line weights based on the scale of the drawing, just pushing everything over there, bundling it up into one scrapbook so that we can just drag and drop. All right, so when it finishes exporting, you can always just kind of hit reset and we're back to good. And now I'll hop back over into layout. Now in layout, here's where we're gonna start a new document. All right, so I'm gonna get me off the screen there and I'll go to File and click New. Now I'll go to My Templates and then check this out. So I know I didn't mean to exclude or to overlook the metric users. My mistake over the years of, I've kind of just built a lot of these resources specifically for US or standard or imperial system. But now we've got our metric templates, and then we've got some other options on the forum for the metric scrapbooks and all those other resources. So anyways, another new update here is that we have our metric and our standard title blocks. So I'm going to go with standard 24 by 36. And then I'm going to go over to my scrapbooks dialog and go to my ConDoc drawings. Now, this is where all the drawings land, and all I have to do is drag it over, and now you can see here's my foundation plan. I'll stretch it like that, stretch it like that. I just kind of like to organize things. All right, and then if I zoom in and look at it, it looks pretty good. So decent shape there. We'll go to the next page. And then here's construction plan 01. And then so, because we updated those cameras, they show up clear, like right in the center of the viewport. If you ever find, like if you're using ConDoc and you haven't updated your cameras inside of SketchUp so that things are kind of centered on your screen, it might appear that your scrapbook is empty, but it's not. You can just drag those in. It's just that your drawings are off to the side. So you can still drag them in and then stretch it around and find it. It's just kind of like hidden outside the center of your viewport. So, all right, so there's our construction plan 01. I'll just trim that up a bit. And then we'll go to construction plan 02, like that. There we go. All right, so then we'll stretch this one around. And I do have my auto render turned on right now. There we go. All right, so if this was a real set, of course, I would kind of go to great lengths to kind of get things really well organized and all that. But let's go to the next plan, or aligned. Now this guy, remember, the roof plan is at 1/8 inch. And so now we have like a site plan up here. And notice that, it's like, the line weights, that's probably hard to tell on the screen, but the line weights are thinned out just a little bit for the 1/8 inch plan. And then we have, the whole site grayed out. All this stuff happens. If you just tag your model accordingly, these drawings are already like built out for you. All right, so we'll click the plus sign to add a page, go to the next page, and now here's our elevations. Now, like I said, if we had not updated, like zoomed in and updated our cameras, this drawing might be off to the side. It's no problem, but it just makes for a better demo when we get over here into layout. If everything is kind of centered up, and when we drag it in here, we can just kind of find the drawing rather quickly. So we'll just go through and drop each one of these drawings in here, like that, and like that. Perfect. All right, and I can kind of a little bit scoot these around. This one just needs to come over this way just a touch, And that looks fairly good for now. Again, I would, it pains me to just move on, but normally I would get these all lined up real nice. All right, let's add a page. And we'll go to the next one. All right, so now here's our CAD section fill AA. All right, so this guy is at 1/2" scale. All right, so we can stretch that around. And I can tell you this, I often use these section cuts to start my details. So, I would just kind of build it out, add a section, and then I would explode it in layout to create my detail. I'll click the plus sign, move on to BB, and then drag this guy in here, like that, and like that. So that looks pretty good. And, just to kind of get an idea, like, it's interesting to explore how these drawings are put together, right? So like, you can double click in. So ConDoc grouped everything. And you can look at like, the SketchUp model. If I select this viewport, you can see this is our CAD section BB foreground. And that sits on top of this CAD section BB background. This guy renders as a vector. I believe this one renders, okay, this one renders as hybrid. And I've got like different reasons for all these different render settings. Already thought them all out for you. So I'll just hit Control Z and back out of here. And then let's go look at like one of these plans. Yeah, those are at the right scale. And, for instance, like here's like our main level plan. I'll hide the rest of my document. So, you can kind of scoot things around and just see how these are built. It's just like, it's putting these viewports, stacking them on top of each other, and when they all land, if I undo, 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 you get this one complete drawing. So that's what ConDoc is automating is, it's like all the stacking and everything I've explained and all those manual processes in the book, everything that's explained in there is completely automated by our tools, and then it's completely configurable as well. So if you see something you don't like, or maybe you prefer to have like an appliances tag, or if you're an interior designer, like we've worked with like some people in designing retail stores and they need like merchandising tag or point of sale tag, this is all possible, and you can create those specific plans for your industry. All right, so that's how they're put together. Go back to a clean screen here. And then just to kind of take a quick lap here, that's the set that we've put together. All right, so let's see. Mark, how you doing? Okay, we'll take a look at some I'll show you how those wall sections work. And I'm going to come back to the chat panel here after we annotate these drawings. It's good to see you guys. And Michael McLaughlin, scope docs that use utility scenes. Yeah, so the utility scenes, so Michael McLaughlin asking about the Reno project, is it possible to prepare a set of scope docs that uses the utility scenes to view various scope? So I will say one shortcoming of our tagging system with the renovation projects and our new tags is that the color by tag functionality is not switching over to our ConDoc tags, but we are very much aware of that, and we are moving at a different rate now, a faster rate. We've got a lot of these little things that we're going to be buttoning up, and I think that we've got a solution for that that's going to be potentially even better than what we had, because the truth is that those scope diagrams fell short with 2D graphic 3D object. And so we've talked about some solutions that would make it like bulletproof. So yeah, unfortunately that when you're using our tags, those scope diagrams don't show up exactly like they used to. Cool. And Mark, definitely everything is still worked out, linked up, and I love seeing all these names. Eric Whitmore coming on the scene here. So yeah, the SketchUp model totally still linked, and I'll show you how to kind of update that as well. So, and then Andrew asking about section cuts. Definitely. All right, so we'll do. I'll have to take a quick lap back through here and remind myself, but we're going to do the section cut to detail for sure, and then adding a tag for our square footage. And yeah, definitely hit me up in the chat panel. I'll stick around, as long as it takes to answer all these questions. And Yeah, let's keep going. I'm going to show you, this is kind of the last, very last part of the demo, is to just use our ConDoc annotation scrapbook. I'll give you a few pointers on how that works so that you can, move much quicker inside of layout. And I got to tell you that this is not even specific to the ConDoc tools. We give you all these different resources when you install the RBZ inside of SketchUp. When you install that RBZ inside SketchUp, we dump all these resources in layout. And I will say this too, if you start a trial and you install the ConDoc tools and then you don't like it and you cancel, well, all those resources are totally yours to keep. And so that's what I'm about to show you is our ConDoc annotation scrapbook. And I would even encourage you, if you watch what I'm about to do here, you can like make your own scrapbook or take our scrapbook and modify it. So let's hop back in there, annotate some drawings, and then let's go with those advanced little mini demos here. So let's get to it. All right, so over here on our scrapbooks dialog, I'll click this drop down and we'll go to our ConDoc annotations scrapbook. Now the first page is called the palette. All right, so that's a little bit more advanced, so we'll do that second. I'm just gonna skip over here to, I think I started kind of at the end last time. So like kind of an easy thing to do would be, let's just kind of shrink this down and then add a drawing title. So you can see I've got like all these different annotations that you would need to create a complete permit set. It's very quick and easy just to work through this thing and throw down these different ConDoc annotations like that. On this one, you could go to the next page and perhaps you want like, some different level markers. So we'll go like, maybe top of roof, top of plate, so you can have all that stuff kind of sorted out. And then easy enough to just grab these, right click, align to the right, shift nudge. When you shift, hold shift with the arrow keys, it nudges 1/4 inch. Let me say this too, I always forget to do this, but like the layers. So we bake in these specific layers within our ConDoc title blocks. So the truth is that like these guys are all annotations, all right? So I'm gonna take these and move to layer annotations. And then let's go back over here. This is going to be an annotation, and this is going to be an annotation. Let me undo that, move to layer, annotations. All right, and the point is that like once you lay out your set, you can lock your drawings layer, and it moves it over to annotation. So now, we're kind of separating our annotations from our drawings like that. Okay. So you can add those different call outs over there. Now on this page here, maybe we want to go with like drawing titles again, like that. And then we can throw like a north arrow on here, like that, maybe even a graphic scale. So the way that the ConDoc annotation scrapbook works, you just click on an annotation and then you click in your model to place it. And then you can always, you can either double click or you can select and hit enter. To jump in here, and you could say, maybe this is like your site plan, or maybe I'd say, plan, site, roof, whatever. Change your scales. We won't go through all that, but the idea is that like you can very quickly add all those annotations in here with your different plans. Maybe you want like room names like that, and like this, and then all these different call outs. I mean, having all these ready to rock, it's so quick and easy. Like this is how I do it. I just go through and I just kind of go nuts, like drop all this stuff in there so I kind of know what I'm gonna need. And then I go back through and I coordinate the set properly, right? So let's talk briefly now about our palette scrapbook, or our part of our annotation scrapbook. So maybe a good demo would be to add some dimensions. All right, so let's say I want to add some dimensions across here. All right, now I will say this. Let's go like that, and then I'll say whenever you activate a tool inside of layout, when I activate that tool, the tool's default settings are represented in the inspectors. All right, so when a tool is active, its default settings are in the inspectors. If I select an entity, that entity's properties are represented in the inspectors. So that can be a little bit confusing, but the truth be told, once you understand it, it really moves quickly. I kind of like it. So anyways, let's look at how, for the dimension tool, all the different places where you'd have settings, and then I'll show you how quick and easy it is to use our palette to get those settings right. Okay, so if I activate the dimension tool, and I'll just say like, let's just throw, from corner to the center here, like that, and then I move up like this. All right, so the dimensions, dimension tool settings are in shape style. So it's active right now. So like I could say, well, let's go with like maybe, it's a really small, like something like that. Maybe something like that. Maybe my text style is going to be bold, like that. So you can see that my dimension is updating actively there. My stroke color is going to be red, like that. Maybe my text color is gray, like that. And then I click to place it. Okay, so now if I like double click on maybe the next window like this, it's going to continue running like that. All right, so now my new default settings for dimensions are all out of whack, right? Like every time I'm adding a dimension, maybe I can double click here. No. We'll go to this one and like that. So now those are my dimension settings. Not bad, whatever, they look fine, maybe you dig on that. But the truth is what I want to do is develop my palette so that like whenever I activate my dimension tool like this, and let's say I start a dimension from corner to midpoint, all I have to do is put my cursor over here and see how it turns into an eyedropper and click. And there's my standards. And now I'm going to go to my center point like that, center point. So as you double click on each one of these windows, that's going to continue that string. And then maybe I come back and do like one full dimension like that, like there. And then I select this guy, hit enter. And now, I can kind of place that. I think I can nudge these, yeah. So I don't know. The leader lines, not my favorite thing to have those, but hey, when it gets small, that's okay. So that's how you want to work with this palette, all right? So like, if I want to draw, say I want to draw like a rectangle, well, here's the default settings of my rectangle right now. Well, I want to draw a red dashed rectangle like that. And then you know what? I want to draw like a thick line. So I got to tell you that like, if you find yourself working within the inspectors inside of layout, like if you're constantly, messing around with shape style and text style and all that, I don't want to say you're doing it wrong, but you could be doing it better. You could build out a palette so that all you have to do is just kind of jump in there and click on it to get those settings. All right, let me show you one more quick demo. If I go over here to our elevations, and notice that like this elevation, it's not exactly how I want this to look, right? So here's what I typically do. Like I'm going to click edit. All right, I'm going to edit my scrapbook, and I'm going to select this one right here, and I'm going to give it a shape style. It's going to have a fill, and then it's also going to have a stroke, and the stroke is going to be like, I'm just going to make it really thick, like an 8, like that. All right, so watch what happens. Like, see how it's empty, or it doesn't have that stroke? I'm going to close it and save it. And so now, you'll see that appear. And so now, watch this. I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to give this like a nice, heavy ground plane like this, and then I'm going to click on that guy. See, now I get my new ground plane like that, and like that, and like that. All right, there we go. So we've got this really heavy ground plane. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go to the edit drop down and choose copy like that. All right, then I'm going to draw a line. All right, I'm going to extend this one. All right, so now we're kind of like continuing this on, right? Like, oops, I'm going to hit Control Z and connect that. There you go. Now this guy, I'm going to tap S. When I hit S, I can sample over here like one of these empty squares, and then I can go to Edit and choose Paste and throw that thick line right back on top. All right, so that is how I get these elevations all buttoned up and kind of give like, a nice clean look so that they have a heavy base plane or ground plane, and kind of trim them up. So, and I will say that like, yeah, this, if you were like very aggressively modifying the site and the ground plane, then hold back on doing this until later. But you know, usually when you start shooting your elevations, you can confidently move forward with this and then start working in the annotations. So cool. All right, I think we're in pretty decent shape. I mean, just to kind of finish the thought, you always go to File, choose Export PDF, and then kick this thing out. You know, you'd want to save this. I'll maybe put it on my desktop temp, and I'll call this just ADU like this. And then I'll hit Save. And then whenever I'm exporting, I always want it high resolution, and we'll show that. So exports this drawing set or this permit set rather quickly. We'll see. And while that's kicking, I guess it has to kind of render it, so not too bad. There we go. There's the set. So, all right, not bad, right? Pretty snappy, I would say. I got to tell you, I use this on my projects. I'm actually thrilled. I'm going out to start, well, one, I've just finished up a mega renovation and I've got all the footage. So if you haven't like subscribed to the channel or the newsletter, definitely stay tuned for that. I've got this mega renovation that I've really documented the entire process from design to demolition to construction, and it is literally like the owner's moving in, maybe even next week. There's some furniture in there already. So anyway, super cool. So keep an eye out for that. And then also, if you want to start a trial of ConDoc Tools, head to condoctools.com. Free 7-day trial. You can just take this for a spin. Check out, we're a featured collection on the 3D Warehouse, so you can download all these different models, and they're all set up already, so you can just kind of test the tools. Also, at condoctools.com on the Learn page, I just posted the other day, like 3 days ago, our ConDoc Quick Start course. So if you're an existing user or a new user, the ConDoc Quick Start course is like the best way to really wrap your head around the new features, our tagging system. I work through, it's about an hour and a half long, but it's broken up into different pieces, and it's just a great way to kind of refamiliarize yourself with these new features and the old features and all those gotchas. That's definitely a solid course, and there's more to come. So anyways, I will say this, thank you so much for being here today, and I'm not done yet. Let's take a look at the chat panel, and I'm gonna work through a couple different demonstrations, and hopefully I can answer all these questions. So, nice, thank you, Michael. Yes. I'm gonna scroll up just a notch and just kind of get to, maybe I'll start with our, let's see, can you add a ConDoc tag? So like the square footage tag. Let's hop in there. We're gonna have to, so in order to add a tag through the ConDoc system, we're gonna use our ConDoc configurator tool. We're gonna add the tag in there, and then we're gonna like hit reset on the ConDoc system. That's gonna add it in. And keep in mind that whenever you add a tag in the configurator, by default, it's turned off for all of your scenes that would be created with the ConDoc tools. Now, I'm gonna have to double check though the behavior. Let's keep an eye on this. What is the behavior when that tag gets added for the scenes that have already been created? All right, let's hop in there and let's tinker. Let's see what this looks like. All right, so back into SketchUp and save this. And actually, this is going to bring into play our scene update and save. So that's a kind of a new button we've got. We're going to go to our configurator tool, and then I'll go to my ConDoc layers. I guess we do need to change that to ConDoc tags, huh? All right, so we're going to go to the plus sign, and let's call this one. All right, so you got a couple different options. I'm going to call this ConDoc underscore, and then we're going to call it square footage calcs, like that. All right, so I'll say OK, and then now that tag lands at the bottom, and then you can control the stacking order. You can kind of drag this tag like up to the top, right? So I'll get it back up here with my other ConDoc tags. And so there's like square footage calcs like that. And then I'll check OK. So we're good there. Now, here's the thing that I was kind of talking about is like if I look at the settings here for all these scenes. When you add a tag in the configurator, it is off by default. So see how it's showing up here now? Square footage calcs are off, 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 off. So the default behavior is that when you add a tag, like kind of mid-project, it's going to be turned off. So if you need it to show up, it's probably better to have that sorted out, earlier. Think it through, but no problem. You can always modify any of this stuff manually, okay? Now, the question is, when I look at my tags dialog, I'm not seeing that ConDoc _ square footage calcs. And that's expected because as soon as I do anything with ConDoc, like for instance, hit reset, now we get our ConDoc square footage calcs comes in here. Now, I have a feeling, my gut feeling, I believe, is that when a tag is added, unfortunately, SketchUp's default behavior is that that tag is turned on in all the different scenes. So I'm keeping my eye on square footage calcs, what that looks like, and let's just go to like construction plan heavy. And so see how that's turned on? Well, that, I don't know, that may or may not be advantageous, but I know there is a plugin that's called Add Hidden Layer that is kind of for this. But the point is, and I know there's some other plugins that would allow you to kind of easily turn this off. But truth is, if you wanted it turned off, you could just, like go to a scene and like turn it off and then update it. So it's, if you're kind of working in this way, it's not that difficult to kind of fix it. So if you're adding a tag mid-project. All right, now let's do this. Let's go to interior. All right, so these are the square footage calcs, right? So now I'm going to open up my ConDoc tags, and because I prefixed it with the ConDoc _, it's going to land under my ConDoc tags. So to kind of keep them organized. And I can tell you that if you didn't prefix it, then the ConDoc tags dialog would add another category of other. And then all those other layers or tags that you're adding are just going to be called other. And they're going to work just the same. But me personally, I like things organized level, element, location, condition. And then ConDoc is kind of secondary. And truth be told, I never have other tags. I want it all baked into my system. So, all right. So I've got these square footage calcs selected. So there you go. So now, you can see that like these other tags, they show up kind of at the end. So there you go. And then our square footage calcs are now controlled over here like that. So, and then because of that, let's see, when I go to heavy or light, I'm trying to think of like where those they're turned off. So well, I almost want to say that like we've addressed this. Heavy, so it's turned on, but they're not showing up. So here you got a cut, construction plan heavy. They might just be landing above the cut is probably what's happening here. If I make that. So anyways, that is how we add that tag. And then as far as like the different visibility of the properties or the visibility of that geometry with that tag is likely going to need to be manually controlled because we added it kind of mid-project. But if you bake that in, which that wouldn't be a bad thing to bake in, but it would be easy enough just to call that always. I put them on always off. That's kind of my preference for that. So, all right. Hopefully that answers that question. Not bad. That went all right. Kind of on the fly here. And then I'm just checking my chat panel. And then let's see. Okay, and then Joanne asking about if you create a scene that is not generated by ConDoc tools, does that mess up the export to scrapbooks? No, you can create all the scenes you want. But if they're not created with the ConDoc tools, they're not going to run through the ConDoc export. But no disruption. If you need to have, like, I definitely do that. I might just add a scene that like has a specific layer or tag setup. No problem at all. No disruption. You could always, insert those scenes into layout manually. But if it's not created with the ConDoc tools, it's not going to run through the ConDoc export, but it won't disrupt anything in there. And then Mark asking about, is it still live linked to the SketchUp model, or do we have to export again when the change is made? No, and I'll do a real quick demo on that because we do have a new button. It's probably important for me to kind of stress this, that you can't just save. You have to save and update. Let me show you. All right, so inside of SketchUp again, if like, let me look at this. Let's say, let's just imagine if I close this, let's go to layout and let's just look at like, let's just say, for instance, I want the fixtures turned off. I just don't want to see fixtures in my second floor plan. All right, so let's go look at that, and we'll go to our, let's see, I got to think about how to demonstrate this. If you're going to make a change, so construction plan O2 heavy, and then you got O2 light, and then if I were to turn off my fixtures, all right, and then if I like update this scene, all right, okay, so I've updated the scene so that if I go off the scene and then come back to that scene, there's no fixtures. All right, now if I go to File and choose Save, all right, and then we're gonna go reload, okay? So now inside of Layout, I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna update that reference. And if you're used to the old way of working, I'm expecting these to go away, all right? So I'll click Update, and I update it. All right, it did go away. I'm trying to think of like, what am I trying to fix here? I'm not demonstrating this right. All right, point is, let me just say this. We have a new button. It's called Scene Update and Save. So this scene update refreshes all of your scene tabs, and it saves the model. And I'm kind of spacing on exactly how to demonstrate this functionality here, but in general, if you're making changes in SketchUp, a save is great as you're working. But if you're like working with these scene tabs and you're seeing something that's not coming through properly, run the scene update and save. And when you do that, then it's going to be the sure thing that all your ConDoc scenes are now updated. And then when you get into layout, it's going to show up the way you want it to. So, all right, that was not my best demo, but that's okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah, and then Mark again. Let me scroll a bit to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Yeah, definitely time to try it again, right? Give it a twirl. And so talking about wall sections, all right, so like, all right, in this version, we killed draft mode. All right, so, and I got a comment from a gentleman on the forum who was using draft mode. I stopped using draft mode like maybe 3 years ago, something like that. Basically what happened is we created draft mode to, kind of like bake in AutoCAD functionality inside of SketchUp. And it did work well. It was okay, it was like kind of a workaround, but it felt okay, felt like CAD inside of SketchUp. But then layout evolved, and they came up with this like scaled drawing command. And that scaled drawing command, in my opinion, just completely eliminated the need for draft mode. I'd so much rather just kind of like use those layout tools and just draft away. And so we killed draft mode. So when it comes to creating your wall sections, what I typically do is I would just cut those sections with a very simple section style. So I'm going to use CAD section no fill, or just CAD section essentially. So let's cut a wall section. We'll create a new scene with CAD section yeah, CAD section. We'll kick it over into layout at like 1.5 inches equals a foot. And then I'm gonna show you how to explode it. And then I'll show you where our ConDoc 2D comes into play. Let's do that. All right, so then again, back into SketchUp, I'm gonna click Reset, and then I'm going to go to my section tool. So, you know, maybe this scenario, like kind of, you know, running through here, or maybe this garage wall would just be a good example. Like this would be a good section cut. This would probably be like a reasonable one, but we'll just focus on one. All right, activate the section tool and then click where you want to cut. Instead of giving this a fill, I just kind of want like a very simple CAD section like that. All right, and so there we go. And then I'll go to my scenes and we're gonna go to the end, CAD section AA foreground, all right? So now it's got that, you know, kind of thick cut. And really what I'm most interested in is right here, all right? So I'm just going to update the camera like we've been doing. And then I'm going to do the scene update and save like that. And then I'm going to, and I believe the ConDoc export does that scene update and save by default. All right, this time we're gonna kick out CAD section AA. We're gonna run with like 1.5 inches equals a foot. And I'm gonna send it to layout. And just a heads up, I mean, in layout, you wanna make sure your ConDoc drawings is not the active, scrapbook. It just kind of, it can goof up if that's the case, in my experience, although a lot of people have not had that experience. All right, so that made it over. I'll go to my ConDoc drawings. And so now there's my section, my wall section. Let's go over here and we'll go to the end, add a page, and then I'll drag that on. So you can see it's really a big drawing, right? Oh, this is perfect. This is a gotcha, okay? So if you ever see this happen, you know, this like definitely feels like things are broken, but it's not. It's that I created a new scene inside of SketchUp. So that new scene inside of SketchUp has not yet been realized inside of layout because my reference is out of date. So when I drag in that same model, it like doesn't know it can't find the scene because the reference is not updated. So I'm just gonna update my reference, and now when I drag this in, it'll come in as expected. All right, so then I'll just make this real big, and then we'll kind of stretch it over here like this, and then I'll stretch it down like that. And, you know, like that's kind of the idea there. Like that, and shift nudge it, all right? Now, when I'm looking at this, you know, obviously the line weights are not what I really want. That 1.5 inches, it really gets pretty thick. So no problem, we're gonna be able to modify all of that. And then I might also, you know, comment like, you know, maybe I'm like, I don't wanna see the barrier, you know. The truth is that like probably the best solution would be to create a new section drawing type that's called like a detail background. So like, you know, maybe this would be like a good, you know, demo potentially for another day, but well, I don't know, if I just look like, if I scroll to the end, you know, what I would do is I'd add a drawing type. It would be a section, and I'd call it like a detail background like that. And then it would still count AA, that's perfect. And then I'd add just, you know, this is a simple drawing. I just need one viewport. I always name, if it doesn't have a name, I just call it primary. This would just be like line drawing, line drawing 00. And then it's vector, shadows are off, parallel. There is a section plane, and there is no offset. And then like, you know, which tags do I want to be turned on? So windows, walls, trim, yeah, because this is like a detailed background. You know, lights, roof, stairs, No furniture, I guess framing, that would be interesting, although we don't have framing in this project. Floors, no fixtures, or maybe fixtures, no equipment, no entourage, earth, take it or leave it, doors, no decorative objects, no context, columns, ceilings, ceiling equipment, beams, and yeah, barriers, yeah, no background, and then we'll want new, existing, exterior, interior, and then we'll want 3D objects, no 2D graphics, like that. Let's try this again, why not? All right, so there's our detail background. I'll hit reset. I'm going to delete this, and I'm gonna make one other change, all right? So check this out. I like this. We'll go back here so that we're not on that. Let me do one more thing in here. We're gonna make our ConDoc, or I'm sorry, our detail background, the line weight needs to be as thin as it possibly can be. So we're gonna set that to fine. All right, now I'm doing this quick. We'll see how this goes. All right, let's try it. So now I'm gonna activate my section tool, and I'll tap the right arrow key. I'll kind of drop that same section right in there. Check it out. Here's my detail background. Click like that. Now we'll go to our scenes, and here's our detail background like that. So that's a little bit cleaner. I'll update my camera location. I'll run my drawing export. We're going to just do this detail background at 1.5 inches equals a foot, like that. Send a layout, save it. All right, now remember, we created a new scene inside of SketchUp. So before we go dragging and dropping, this guy needs to be updated. Let's go to our ConDoc drawings, like that. So it's probably gonna look a little bit better. It might still be a little bit thick, like that. So it definitely looks better. All right, so now there's kind of the detail background. Now, I'll say this too. Sometimes what I do is I would leave this intact, and I would go to like my layers, and I might add a layer called backgrounds, like that, and then move that like to the bottom of the stack, and then leave this intact so I can trace over it. And then if something changes, I can see those changes pretty obviously. All right, so that's one way to do this, would be to just like move this to layer backgrounds, and then make sure that my backgrounds are turned off. And then I would like start a new scaled drawing, and I would call it like 1.5 inches equals a foot, like that. And then I would use my rectangle tool. Yeah, man. And I would be drawing a rectangle. Let me get my shape style with a stroke and no fill, like this. So stroke, no fill. So now I'm like just drafting inside here, and then when I turn off my backgrounds, my drawing shows through. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, which is actually usually how I work, you can even do both, to be honest. You could leave this intact, copy it, and then paste it to the current layer, and then turn off the backgrounds. All right, so now you've got this drawing sitting here. I'm gonna ungroup it, and then I'm gonna right click on it again, and this whole drawing stack is just one viewport. So now when I explode it like this, it turns into a scaled drawing, So you get that scaled drawing up there. And now at this point, I can just go in here and typically I like select all and ungroup. I like to just kind of get it all broken down as far as it can go. And now you're just working with like layout geometry. So, if you just want like this guy gone, you can delete that, and then you can like change all your line weights. Sometimes it's really annoying to like have to link these up, but maybe you want that to be like a 6 line weight, or I'll make it something obvious like an 8. So now you're just working with the layout drawing tools. And now this is the last little comment on this, is if I go to my scrapbooks and take a look at the ConDoc 2D scrapbook, and then head over to the last page, I've got all these little detail symbols, so Like it's pretty easy just to, you know, kind of match some of these different properties, you know, throw in the different lumber. And like, you know, if I right click on it, you can see that the scale is 1 inch equals a foot. Well, you can always just change it. And so now you could, you know, rotate this around and then slide it into place. And, you know, as you build this out, you just, you know, well, yeah, that's the idea. You just draft it. So once you get savvy, you know, once you get savvy with those layout drawing tools, I find this to be so much better than draft mode. So I don't know, let me know. I mean, if you guys are, you know, like, if there's anyone out there who's been using ConDoc and loves draft mode, I suppose make your case. We didn't throw it away necessarily, but I just really, I hate having it in there because it's not the preferred way or the recommended way. I find this to be so much better. All right, and let's see, are we getting through it all? Let me scoop my cursor over here so I can roll. Let's see, what else we got? Okay, and Joanne asking about, thanks for coming, Joanne. You know, good to see you in here, I suppose. In the future, can some of the stacking be eliminated by controlling the tag line style in layout? That is the intention of that functionality inside of layout, the ability to, you know, mess with all those different properties of a viewport. In my opinion, I'm like, I don't know if you want to say like the purist of like, I want to build everything in SketchUp, send it to layout. And then if I need to mess with a style or I need to mess with like a line type, I want to do that in a line type of a SketchUp viewport. I want to do that in SketchUp because it's one way of doing things. And then I always know that that's where I go do it. That's, in my opinion, a much more teachable method. But you could certainly, you know, once you export these viewports, you know, once they're out there, dropped into layout, they're just layout viewports. So you can start tinkering with them using those, you know, that SketchUp model inspector and all those new settings that they've been adding. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And maybe, you know, like you know, all ears on any workflow where it's like, you know, I find it easier just to kind of like spit out like a very generic, simple plan and then hop into layout and modify it in that way. Nothing wrong with it. My preference is to get it all done and automated inside of SketchUp. When it goes into layout, I'm literally dragging and dropping. If I need to tweak something, I'm back in SketchUp working on it there, rather than, you know, those are like overrides. And I find that it can be confusing because as soon as you override a setting, now the SketchUp is no longer controlling it. But that's a fair question though. Yeah, nothing wrong with doing that. Nice, thanks Eric. It's been a while. We gotta catch up, man. I created details, and then asking about the recording, like these live streams. It should be up and running right after we sign off. So that'll be good. So you'll get your recording. Thanks for being here. Nice, Eric. Glad. You know, there's always a little tip or trick, right, in these videos. Michael McLaughlin, any way to show foundation and footing dashed below grade? Any way to show foundation and footing dashed below grade? Yeah, so yes, there definitely is a way to do that. But as far as automating it, the only way to automate that would be to, you'd have to, like, you know, basically the way that you decide what tags you need, it kind of represent, you know, it's derived from like what drawings you need or what you need in your drawings. So if you're saying that you need a foundation that's like below grade to be represented differently than a foundation above grade, you would potentially need a tag, and it could be like location tag, you know, location below grade. And then you'd have to like slice your foundation so it's like showing differently. So you know, really what I'm getting at, what I think I would do is, let's hop into layout real quick and I'll show you. So in layout, if I go look at these elevations, I think this is probably, let's check our elevations and see if that would look right. What I would be more inclined to do is, all right, check this out. I'm just gonna I'm gonna Control X, all right? I'd be more inclined to just go to my drawings tab. Let me undo that. Okay, so this stuff is on annotations. All right, I'm gonna move to layer drawings. And then, what am I trying to do? I'm gonna cut them for now. I'm just gonna like Control X just so that they're out of the way. Drawings is locked. Okay, let me cut these. All right, they're on my clipboard. I would be more inclined to come in here and draw a line and go to like the palette page over here. Sorry, I need to go to ConDoc annotations and then choose like, you know, a dashed line that works. And I would just like draw this, you know, I don't know, I'd start here like this, get my inference like that, and then draw my line like that. If I hold shift, it keeps me, you know, on axis essentially, like that, and I'll just kind of do this one. And then we'll just draw a line like this, straight across. All right, so that doesn't look like much, right? All right, so now these guys are going to be, those are on the annotations layer, because that's where I just drew them. Whether they're annotations or not, it'd be more part of the drawing, but we'll get there. All right, now I'm going to just paste these back in like that. And see, I'd be more apt to do something like that to just get those in place. So now you've got like, you know, these annotations. And, you know, honestly, like I said, these are probably more part of your drawings. And as long as they're on the top of the stack, because, you know, the stack of layers controls visibility, but then, you know, you can arrange, bring to front within each of those. So that's how I would prefer to set up. Oh, hopefully I wasn't blocking that. Yeah, so you'd want to, the reason I think that's a better way to do it is the foundation, in my opinion, like you want to get your design, your SketchUp model evolved to a point. Like I don't need my construction documents or my permit set to be like perfectly linked to the SketchUp model. Let me explain, because that sounds going against what I'm normally all about. I guess what I'm saying is that like you get to a point where certain things are locked into place. And if they do change, it's not that big of a deal. For instance, your foundation. Like at some point, it's like that foundation, I mean, unless you're making like broad sweeping changes, you know, don't do this yet. Like if you're moving around and designing, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't even be drawing my foundation if I was still designing. But once you lock in those space plans, and then we know where things are gonna go, then you start drafting this stuff, and in my opinion, it's very unlikely to change. And then you can start using this hybrid technique of like overlaying scaled drawings in layout so that you can like add more detail. And actually, let me show you that real quick, because this is super powerful. Let's do this. So like, you know, this little grouping here, I would take these guys and I would right click and I would make it a group, and then I'd right click again and I'd go to scale. And I'd make that little group its own scale drawing at 1/4 inch. And now when I double click in, I can draft, you know, I can draw a line that's, you know, like, you know, maybe I go perfectly on axis here and say like 3'6", enter, you know? So like now you're like hybrid drafting on top of your viewports. I find this to be a very powerful technique. So, that's why I'd be more apt to kind of work in that, work that way. All right, let me see what else we got going on. Kim, I'm wondering if you've been here the whole time. I hope you got got those issues resolved. I covered, I actually did demonstrate what you were experiencing a little bit earlier, but hopefully you got that sorted out. Nice. Carolyn, thank you for the plug. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's, and Eric talking about like, SketchUp nesting folders and yeah, for scenes, that would be handy. That would be super cool. The truth is whatever SketchUp comes up with, like, honestly, I mean, I hope they come up with multiple SketchUp tags per object. That would be pretty sweet if they did that. And hopefully it would be better than this system we've developed. Because then it would be native, it would be baked in and likely exposed in the API, and we could work with that. But it's kind of slow going. So yeah, and Darren, so sorry about the update. The ConDoc, the automatic update inside of SketchUp, when you go to Extensions, ConDoc, Help, check for update, and then it says there's an update. You say yes, it downloads. It's not working right, and we've identified that now, and we're gonna have like a little dot release that is not going to auto update either. So we're gonna have a little dot update fix, and that is going to have our auto updater like all patched up. So it was just something that like it didn't work out for us this time around, but. Anyway, so just go to your profile page, download, download that latest ConDoc 5, and then I will send an email. We've got it set up so I can very easily communicate directly with the ConDoc active subscribers, and I'll throw something on the forum to let you know when that is ready. But on the 5.0.1 or whatever we call it, that's going to be the auto updater will be fixed, and then we've got some more exciting stuff coming. I mean, this is our ConDoc 5 launch update. I want to just talk about what we've got today, but I'm telling you, there's a lot more kind of easy little tools that are coming soon. So we're working on it, and those will be auto updated. So yeah, and so if you are using draft mode, there's nothing like those scenes will still exist. The scenes will still exist in old projects. The drawing type still exists, so you should be able to export those scenes still. But truth be told, we just kind of got rid of it. We had reached out. I mean, if you feel real strongly, make a case for it. Like I said, it's not in the wastebasket. It's just not included anymore because it was kind of, I found that it was like confusing to have that and not really promote it. So, if we get enough of a case, we might consider kind of burying it in the drop down so that you still have access to it. But I just don't want to confuse users with this thing that we're not really teaching anymore. And Andrew Harlan, is there a reason that the untagged layer has a dashed line style in SketchUp? Yes. It's kind of goofy when SketchUp came out with this dashed line functionality. I'm probably gonna have a hard time explaining this because it's been a while, but like the end result was like it doesn't work the way I want it to. Like really what I wanted was if I could just select a line and give it a dash. I don't want to dashed lines per tag or dashed lines per layer. That's stupid in my opinion. That's not the way that should work. And that's not the way that SketchUp. It's not the way that. It's not the way people use SketchUp. That's the way you use AutoCAD for sure, but it's not the way you use SketchUp. So assigning dashes to a layer, a tag, makes no sense. So what I concluded was that a simple dashed, like a hidden line, just a dash 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 line, and forget all this like dash dot or long dash, short dash. So I decided, okay, to use this functionality, we're going to force all lines to be dashed, and then we're going to turn off dashes in the styles. And so that was what let us use the vector dashed lines. So I hope that was clear. There was a reason for it. So basically what ConDoc always does is it's going to force untagged to be that simple dashed line. Now, if you don't like that, you can then if it's set to, let me see here. Let's take a look at that. If this untagged is set to default, all right, like that, and then I go to reset, ConDoc is going to force it back to dashes. If you don't like that, you can force it to whatever dashes you want. Like, so if I leave it there, then ConDoc is not going to touch it anymore. But if this is on default, it's going to force it back to dash lines. So anyway, the big idea there is that, like, the way they implemented these dashes, this is my feature request. Why can't I select an edge in SketchUp and then in the entity info, just make it dashed or long dash, short dash? That would be infinitely more valuable to me than assigning dashes to a layer. Just my opinion. So, nice. And nice. So as far as footings below grade, I use a tag that I don't use in my file. I'm trying to use entourage, and then have that be a dash line type for that. Add. Oh, okay. Nice. I love hearing about people using that configurator. I actually, it's don't hesitate to reach out on the forum or really the forum's the best place, because then we all get to read the conversation. Certainly you can email me. I know you guys email me too. I don't mind that. But if it's on the forum, I still get the email and I still respond there, and everyone gets to read it and chat. But I love hearing about it. Like, I'm a little disconnected. I want to know, like, if people are really using draft mode, like, I want to know that. And if the configurator, like, how that's going for you, love to hear more about that. So don't be a stranger. Stephen Hammondtree, all these familiar names, love it. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. So nice. What time we got? Man, we just went, I was planning on an hour, but that's okay. I don't mind. If you guys don't have any more questions, I guess I'll probably just wrap things up and just say, thanks for your support. Really appreciate you guys. Can't do it without you. Definitely start a free trial, ConDocTools.com, 7 days, totally free. It's $29 a month, $2.99 a year. And like I said, that ConDoc Quick Start course, I just posted it. It's brand new. It walks through all this functionality. And then one other comment too is that all of the SketchUp workflow courses that we were kind of running on a different website, I'm like whittling down all the offerings. We're not doing this separate course anymore. I'm not doing renderings or drafting. I'm doing select few design projects. We're going to kick one off on Thursday. So I'm really whittling down my offerings so that I can really focus on the ConDoc tools. That is the direction here. I'm going to take this thing all the way. So anyways, stick with me, guys. Appreciate it. I'll be doing more of these live streams and more of these videos, and like, subscribe, all that stuff. Anyway, appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.